Hello, beautiful Lovetarians. This is Natalia PH with my magical guest today, Dr. Merlin Pickston, is it?
It is.
It is. Well, yes, we have an amazing opportunity to, for the first time in this podcast, welcome a doctor of metaphysics. And we're going to talk a lot about it because that is in itself magical. And it will certainly help you with your own transformation. Merlin will give us wonderful tools that can help deepen our awakening. And of course, we have presents as well. So if you are going to be live here, stick around because he's going to give away what, Merlin?
I'm giving away one ebook of my book, Awaken Journey to Yourself, and one set of 6 guided meditations.
Okay. Hold on here, Merlin, because I'm getting a little bit of a message from StreamYard that it's not showing in one of the groups. So I'm just going to make sure that it's all good and connected. So you can actually, why don't you start talking a little bit about your wonderful, just newly published book while I tend to that, because it is important that we go live on every platform. So Merlin has just recently published his book, right, called Awaken. You go on.
Awaken Journey to Your True Self.
Yes, so could you talk about it? And I'm going to fix this issue.
Okay, so the book, I was very much guided to write a book that was really easy for people to use, with really simple language, with everything that was really explained in a very easy to use and way, and as a guide that people could use and go back to and use on a regular basis. So if you've been around the spiritual world quite a bit, you'll find that we tend to use quite a lot of jargon. There's a lot of words that people use, and even things that have been fairly so for example, mindfulness is fairly mainstream, and what people's impressions about meditation, for example, are fairly mainstream. And so a lot of people don't actually fully understand what some of these concepts are, for example, fairly mainstream. So what I've done in the book is I've really simplified all of those things and really explained. A lot of people don't actually fully understand what some of these concepts are.
Merlin, excuse me for a moment. Yeah, excuse me for a moment because there is something funny. Oh, do some magic. So all the technical stuff is going to be sorted out. Did you hear the double voice just now?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
You go on. Pretend all is perfect. I think this is a very important podcast, you know.
Absolutely great.
All day long. Yeah, go on.
So what I did was when I was writing it, I made sure that what I was writing and how I was writing it was done in a really, really easy to understand way. So the book is for everyone. It's not only for people who are perhaps already awakened, who want to work on themselves, but it's also for people who are newly awakened, who can pick it up and start to really start their awakening journey. So it's quite relevant as well because there's a section where I talk about the global awakening. I talk about the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact that has had on everyone in terms of their evaluating their life and looking at what it is that they have been doing, what they want from their lives, and also the whole sort of questioning their reality around what their life is about and what's going on for them, because it is triggering a lot of people to awaken and to really begin to look at their life. So there are some sort of core skills I talk about at the beginning. There's a communication model that I talk about. So communication, it's really interesting because we often talk about and are aware of body language and tone and the actual words that we use. But one of the things I talk about is the psychic information that we pick up. So, you walk into a room and you feel the vibe in the room, and we're actually, all of us, picking up psychic information from one another. And so even, if you're thinking something not very nice about somebody, for example, that person is going to pick that up. And so I talk about that to raise people's awareness so they understand that is going on, and that's something that they need to be aware of. I also talk about visualization skills, which are really, really important in terms of that helping you with your inner work. And I also talk about the importance of journaling. Now, you and I know, Natalia, about how, I really resisted journaling at the beginning.
Oh, really? Do tell. My husband
really resisted journaling at the beginning. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to journal. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be writing it down.
Why have you, and why do you now?
Well, part of the certification process for the Sphere Code, Sphere Circle Journey process, you've got to do this journaling. So I was sort of forced into it, really, and my ego resisted massively around this. But once I got into it, I was like, oh my God, why have I not done this before?
So liberating, huh?
It is liberating, because what you do is you pour out all of this sort of stuff that's going on, and half the stuff that comes out you don't even know, you don't realize is even in there, and it all comes out, and you read it and you think, oh my God, yeah, that just makes such a difference, and it helps you to make sense of what's going on for you. So I actually end up putting journaling as being a really sort of important element of the process. And actually, we just started to talk before we went live, just around the challenges that some sort of spiritual people have around getting a really good balance in their lives between, abundance, balance, and
always show it. Do you have a cover of your book?
I do, yeah.
But look at that alignment between Merlin and myself. You've got the phoenix with light, with the fire and water. I've got the butterfly. Yeah. Talk about balance. People, balance is key.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was why I actually chose that picture, because the phoenix obviously is the new person, being birthed from the old. And then the balance is, well, there's two: mind, body, and spirit balance, and masculine and feminine balance. So those were what sort of that represented, yeah. So the synchronicity is beautiful there. So
what does that mean for a person that might be fighting parts of themselves? What advice would you give them to just come to peace with all of this?
I think it's important to understand where the conflict comes from, because if we understand, I talk about ego in the book, and I mean, I've read stuff around and from different spiritual, websites or articles and stuff like that about the death of the ego, and I actually don't sort of buy into that at all.
Me neither.
The ego is there to protect you in physical form. So it's there to take care of you and to look after you. The challenge is that because of the way that modern life is and the way that a lot of people live, they're so busy all the time, and they're so busy doing and so busy on autopilot that actually they don't ever get off that sort of treadmill. And so when you're in that situation, you're working on automatic. What you're doing is that your ego is in control. And so you're in a situation where you are in almost a constant fight or flight situation, which is where the stress, builds up and comes. And so you're in what happens then is that every reaction, every situation that you find yourself in, you are dipping into the past, so into what's happened to you previously, rather than what's actually happening in the moment. and your ego is there to look after you and protect you, and that's exactly what it's trying to do. But unfortunately, it's a false protection, because you're in a situation where you don't need protecting, but your ego thinks you do, because you thinks you're in danger. And so the way to identify the conflict is to be able to be present and to come off that autopilot treadmill situation. Mindfulness is a way of life. It's not just something that you sort of, I write in the book, it's not something you just put on a to-do list and, no, I'm going to do mindfulness today. It's kind of you do it all the time, and it's something that you try to be. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, being on autopilot and doing is useful to us at times when we want to get stuff done and we need to, sort of get on. But actually being like that all of the time is detrimental to us. And so if you come off the treadmill and you're being more present, and knowing what's going on with you from day to day, moment to moment, you then find yourself in a situation where you're able to listen to the thoughts and connect with your emotions and your feelings in a much deeper way. When you do that, then you can identify the conflict and where the conflict is actually coming from. The other thing is that, so you were talking about synchronicities, or we were talking about the pillars. So you've got your beautiful pillars, your 4 pillars, Lovetarian pillars. And in the book, I talk about the 7 pillars of personal change. Now, those pillars, in my previous incarnation, prior to sort of writing and doing what I'm doing now, is I was a lecturer in university, and I used to teach leadership development. And one of the biggest sort of resistances to people making change within themselves is the resistance to change itself. And so this model, these 7 pillars, came out of 2 things, really. My experience of working with students and clients in the past around making personal change, and then from my doctorate research. So the 7 pillars, so you start off with just raising awareness. So that is that stepping away from that treadmill a little bit and actually raising your awareness to what's going on within and around you. And then the second part, so the first 2 are really very closely linked. The second part then is observation. So it's observing without judgment. And I think that's really, really important, that you don't get caught up in, oh my God, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And why is that happening? It's really important just to observe and not get caught up in it, because pillar 3 is making sense. And this is how you then sort of start to make sense of what it is that's going on. Pillar 4 is challenging beliefs. And this is a really important pillar, because often when we are identifying something that we are, some type of behavior or something that we're doing, there is an underlying belief that we have around that particular behavior. So it could be that we believe we don't deserve success, or we don't deserve money, or we don't deserve to have love in our life. So there are often these underlying beliefs. So challenging the beliefs is around, okay, so what is the underlying belief underneath this particular behavior? And so then once you challenge it, you can go, okay, so what do I need to do to be able to stop myself from believing that, so I can make the change that I need to make? So the next pillar then is around making the decision to change. And actually making that decision is immensely important, because you actually need to go, right, I am going to do this. I'm going to make this change. And making the decision helps you to, you're telling your ego that you're going to do it. You are making that conscious, from subconscious to conscious decision to go, right, this is going to happen. Pillar 6 then is around actually testing out a new way of behaving, a new way of doing something. And then this is a cyclical process. So if that testing process, there's something that's not right, or it doesn't quite work, or it's, you know, what you've decided to do isn't happening, then you can go back to the beginning and go, okay, so let's raise my awareness and observe why this isn't working, make sense of it, and then go through the process again. And then finally, pillar 7 is around actually adopting a new way of being. So it's a cyclical process that you can use, and it's really core to making any change that you want to change about yourself. I think there's important that when you first start doing something like this, that you start off with something small. That you don't try something really big. It's also important to know that you're gonna fall off the wagon. It's going to go wrong. You are going to go back to an old way.
Hold on here. I'm going to stop you right there. You know, it's everything that you're saying, complete alignment, and it's very much obviously in alignment with the Lovetarian way pillars. Hear me out on this and tell me what you feel. We don't necessarily like to use, like maybe in a non-judgmental way. I just don't know how to at this moment express it better. Not a fan of using a word wrong and good. I'm more going for correct, incorrect, error rather than mistake, because for me words are incredibly important, and I personally don't necessarily prefer to bring the connotations, cultural, religious connotations with the good and bad and the judgments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think the message that I'm trying to put across here is that it's okay that if you slip back into an old way of behavior. So if you end up going back to what you were doing before, it's probably going to happen, because when you're making changes, these things are just part of the process. And so it's okay. You just have to recognize that you've done it, and then just go back and go back to what you were working on and doing before.
Isn't it all coming back to the nature of us all, the unconditional self-love? I mean, we call source mother creatrix, right? As it is in the Sophia Code cosmology. I call her sometimes just the quantum field or the source, you know, my creatrix, if you will. And the nature of that field, I experienced it in my vision when I received the Lovetarian way as absolutely unconditionally loving being, which is a part of all of us. So that's why I was so inspired not to use words like wrong or good in that sense of, you know, cultural, what do you call it? You know, the intensity that is connected with it. Oh, you're a good girl, you're a bad girl, you're a good boy, you're bad, you know? So it's like, it's all, you know, it's all growth and it's an evolution. And if you truly love yourself unconditionally and you have self-compassion, you can actually find the right way, if you will, without all those judgmental you know what I mean?
That's exactly right. I mean, what we tend to do as human beings, or what we've been conditioned to do.
Exactly.
I think that's the important thing to say, because I talk a lot about societal conditioning, and how the way that the world currently is and has been for some time has conditioned us into a situation. Because I talk about subjects like religion and education and those different things in the first chapter of the book, and about how all of those things have conditioned us into a situation where we are self-judgmental and judgmental of others. And so, yeah, I mean, the core of that message was all around, actually, you know, don't do that. Don't judge yourself, because it's okay. It's okay, and it's exactly what you're saying. It's okay if something doesn't go well, or you have a not so good day. And so if you're feeling, you know, where you're feeling a little bit low, or you don't feel as positive as you do, or not, something negative happens to you, is actually an experience that it's the way that you look at it. So if you look at it from a positive perspective, and don't get caught up in, oh, I'm not doing it right, or I've gone wrong, then actually look at it as, so what can I learn from this, this experience, or what's happened to me on this particular day? I think that's the perspective to view things from. Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you for that. And the alignment between our work is just really magical and beautiful. Thank you so much, Sophia, for bringing us together. Your journey with the Sophia Code is what, in 4th year or 3rd year, right?
Yeah, no, it's 5th year, and it's 5th year. Yeah, because I found the Sophia Code in July 2016.
So just after it was published, as you mentioned. Yeah. It's going to be my 1st anniversary. That was my accelerator as well, in July last year, after I turned 44. So all the beautiful work that we have been working on for, well, I believe thousands of years, right? We are old souls. It's just a few decades right now, but in fact it's a very, very, very long journey. And the downloads that we are receiving in our own beautiful, unique way, it's just so perfect how light workers such as you and me and all the other sisters and brothers, how we are finding each other, how we are getting marching orders to gather, right? And and to promote each other. So we have some viewers. I would like to ask the viewers if you would like to be eligible for this beautiful generous draw of the ebook, right?
The ebook
and
the 6 guided meditations.
That's right. So if I'm not seeing any questions yet, but I'm seeing people. So could you put your name in the comment box, please? So then we will feel through it with Merlin, with my magic crystal ball. Who needs to get it? So we'll be giving away the ebook, right, of this beautiful book. I mean, it's gorgeous. Show the cover again. I love it.
I will.
Oh my God, look at this. I mean, I really just felt through that book, and my book is birthing, and this book is just such a beautiful, well, another way of saying and speaking this beautiful Lovetarian music, right, Merlin?
Yeah, totally. I mean, if I think it would be really useful for the people who are listening just to sort of understand sort of how it came about, really. So I've taken about a year to write this book, and all of there's lots of exercises in here, and there's lots of guidance and information that will help people along their journey. And all of the stuff that I've got in the book, all of the exercises, all of the meditations, everything that's in here, I've actually done myself and throughout my own journey. Because it's my personal journey is, I've had a challenging sort of 10 years of my life, where my wife became very poorly, and we went through what happened to her was medical negligence, and we sort of went through court cases, and she, because of what happened to her, there was challenging behavior that I've dealt with, and all sorts of things, and it's still ongoing. So all of the things of the way that I coped through all of these things was through the stuff that I'm recommending and suggesting in the book. So it's coming from a place of, I've used it and I know it works. I know that I know also the sort of what happens in the human journey, in terms of how there are, highs and lows and stuff that go through. So yeah, it sort of came about by that. So, but some of it was also channeled. So some of the information, particularly around the stuff that is in the 1st chapter, when I talk about education and the things that we were talking about before, sex and sexuality and past lives, and all of those different aspects. A lot of that stuff was channeled, so I literally just sat at the computer and just went and typed, and the information just came through very, very strongly. And I remember reading it afterwards going, oh my god, did I write that? That's just, it was just a beautiful experience.
The feeling is amazing, isn't it? When you actually need to read your stuff after, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was great. And then so I mean, the book takes through, so it takes you through a process. There's the beginning bit helps to raise people's awareness by talking about those different subjects. And so people can understand how their life is at the moment and where they're at, and also challenge their own beliefs around the different subjects that I raise and talk about. Then I talk about the 7 pillars of personal change, and then look at different aspects of our behavior. So I talk about self-sabotage, I talk about codependency, I talk about narcissism, which is a huge sort of issue for a lot of people at the moment. And particularly for a lot of light workers who have found themselves in relationships, whether it be with a parent or a co-worker or a partner in narcissistic relationships. And so I talk about narcissism, I talk about abuse, and a little bit about my own recovery and journey from an abusive situation. And then the third section is all around tools to support your awakening. So I talk about different modalities that I'm sure that there's people listening who do these things. So I mean, you're holding a crystal. This is one of mine that I've got at the moment, that I have in front of me. So I talk about crystals and crystal healing and sound healing. I talk about the different modalities, just to raise people's awareness about what's around, because when people start on an awakening journey, they get drawn to particular things. So I mean, I can remember when it happened to myself. You know, I'd never been in a drawn particularly to crystals, and I remember, I think it was probably around the early 2000s when I really sort of got interested in crystals, and then that increased, and now I've just got crystals everywhere because I absolutely love them. But,
yeah, me too.
and so those tools are there to support people and guide people to different things, because obviously when you start on that journey, you start that process of healing things that have happened to you in this lifetime, and sometimes the influence from past lives as well. And so a lot of these modalities can really help and support people in their journey. I'd like to talk about it a bit. So let's talk about the 6 guided meditations. So I channeled and wrote these guided meditations, and the reason why I sell them as a package is because they're sort of like they sort of move from one to the next in a big way. So it starts off by releasing a new you. And that's all of the meditations are fairly short, because I know a lot of people don't have lots of time to be able
How long are they, by the way?
They're different lengths, but the shortest one is around 9-10 minutes, and then the longest is 17 minutes. So they're a good length for people to be able to sit and just do, for that anyone can create that time for themselves to do that. So releasing a new you is around being able to really see that new person that's within you, who's really ready to come out and to be birthed. And so it that one just takes through a process of birthing that new you. And then the second one is around finding a place of inner peace. We all need that. We all need that place where we can go and we can just find that real peace within. I worked with an ex-colleague who I worked with when I was teaching, who is a music technician, and he wrote the music to the meditations. And he's put, like, for the inner peace one, I'm taking you to a beautiful meadow, and he's done beautiful sound effects. You're hearing birds and water and stuff like that. So it really supports the visualization process of the meditation. The third one is around, this one is more of an activation than a meditation. This is around healing the inner child.
Okay.
And that is around beginning the process of connecting with the inner child and being able to bring the inner child forward. Now, you and I know how important the inner child is, that consciousness, how important it is that that consciousness is actively a part of our lives, and how any wounding that has occurred to the inner child is sort of brought forth and the process of healing begun. So that meditation is around that that activation of that, and bringing in the other element. It of course is also bringing in that beautiful innocence that we all have, and the connection to our creative genius. So around how it can support the creative process.
Merlin, there's a question somebody asks, is that possible? Well, is it possible? I presume they're asking about the inner child. Feel it.
Absolutely, it's possible. So the best way of me explaining it is to explain what happened to me. For myself, I wasn't really able to let go and have fun. I didn't know how to, like, I observe people who sort of, acted in a, daft, silly way. And I was always very reserved and held back, and just felt like I had to be serious all the time. And it was actually through working with the Sophia Code and working with Kuan Yin that I really helped me to do this. So I did a meditation where I called in the masters and my angels and my guides to really support me in finding my inner child. And when in this meditation, I found my inner child, and my inner child was tied to a chair, locked in a room.
Okay.
Gagged. And this was an extremely emotional experience for me to go through. And so during that process, I released him and brought him out of that part of my consciousness. As a result of that, what happened after this, and this is how you know that you are able to do this. So I then started having really childlike behavior. So I reacted to people like in a really, like, I'd have like a tantrum drop, like I was like throwing my toys out of my pram, and I was like, "Whoa, where's this behavior coming on from? This is really, really weird. This is really bizarre." And so I managed to sort of recognize what was going on, and then I did several meditations where I was connecting to and listening to what my inner child was telling me that he wanted to do, and some of it was around that I just wasn't spending enough time for me and doing things for me and doing things that were just fun. It was all work and responsibility and no fun. And so what I did was it enabled me to sort of relax a little bit and release. So hopefully that answers that question. Yes, it's absolutely possible, and it makes a massive difference to the way that you are. I know now that if I'm spending too much time doing responsibility stuff and I'm not giving myself allocated time to just relax and have a bit of fun, my inner child tells me.
Oh yeah, well, that's why in a mystery school we are you are almost done. I'm almost done with the first year, because let's be honest, this is the work of the lifetime. So I'm always saying it's a first year, in this lifetime of this mystery school with the Dragon Tribe, beautiful ascended divine feminine masters. However, in our workshops we had done with the girls, we went through the 21 days of healing the inner child. And this is, 21 days. This is just the beginning. I said, girls, science even today shows us that it even takes as much as 66 days to develop a new habit and to rewire your brain. So yes, it can happen in a moment, but also society has trained us, right, to not have presence, not to have patience. It is so crucial, isn't it, to be
It
loving to yourself and allow this healing to happen as it needs to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to understand that if someone has, even if someone hasn't suffered any serious abuse in their childhood, it's important to understand that as a child we're innocent.
Yes.
And we don't understand the ways of the world. We don't understand how the nuances of at the adult world and adult behavior. And so if a parent or a caregiver comes home and has had a bad day at work and maybe is a bit grumpy, and as a child, if we sort of excited about showing a parent something that we've done at school or what have you, and if we're then dismissed, or I haven't got time to see that now, or what have you, that creates a wounding for the inner child. And if that is reinforced on a regular basis, that then becomes a part of our wounded inner child. That wounding then affects us when we then find ourselves in a similar situation as an adult. So if you're then in a situation, so with a partner, for example, you come home from work, you've had a bad day, they've had a bad day, and let's say, I'm sure people can relate to this. So particularly, you come home and let's say your partner has been home for an hour before you, and they've not started making the dinner, for example.
Yes.
You're really tired and you're like, what? And immediately there's this like reaction. Now, often that reaction is as a result of a wounding, because the consciousness is saying to you, I'm not being considered. I'm not being cared about. This person who, if this person cared about me, then they would have started cooking. And this is the reaction that people get. And often those reactions that we get in those types of situations can be connected to wounding as a child. And particularly if our reaction is childlike. If we sort of have a bit of a strop and a bit of a tantrum about something, that is often linked to inner child wounding. So
oh yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you for that. I have a question here, Merlin, Doctor of Metaphysics. What is that? We could have started with that.
Okay, so what happened was there's a man called Dr. Paul Masters. He started the American Parapsychology Association in America nearly 60 years. No, it is 60 years ago, and he did research for over that period of time, and eventually he created the University of Metaphysics and the University of Sedona. And what he did was he used all of that research with thousands and thousands and thousands of clients to create the curriculum for the metaphysical degrees. So what I did was I had to go through the bachelor's, the master's, and the PhD when I did this process. So the bachelor's were a series of exams that I did, which were all about everything from understanding how to be positive, use affirmations, to meditation, the importance of understanding the source within us. It was quite a wide spectrum of different subjects. Then move into high level in the masters, where there was high level stuff. I then had to do a thesis. My thesis I did was on spiritual life coaching. And then I did my doctorate dissertation. Now, my doctorate dissertation was about self-mastery and the connections with self-healing. I did some amazing research. I got respondents from questionnaires from 50 different countries across the globe. Did some really in-depth interviews, and all of that was around people who were going through an awakening, people who were developing themselves spiritually, what they did, how they did it, what tools they used, how they went about it. So I gathered all of this research that went into my dissertation, and it's some of that research that then went into the book as well. So that's basically what the doctorate was. It's quite a wide spectrum to begin with, and then focusing in on the particular subject I was really interested in.
So people would come to you for a prescription for the soul?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess the how I work with clients is I use psychic information. So I'm a medium, so I get mediumship information from spirit guides, from angels, or from loved ones who've passed over. What comes out of a session that I tend to do, my sessions tend to be, an hour and a half to 2 hours with clients. And what comes out of it are usually some very clear actions. We usually come up with probably 3 to 4 clear sort of actions and next steps that they can go away with, that they need to do in their life. And they tend to be, pretty on the nose when it comes to the information on what's going on in their life. So yeah, I mean, that's how that's the prescription. The prescription is, this is what you need to do, this is how you do it, and then I then obviously work with that client around the ongoing support to support them as they start to implement the things that they're working on.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. You see, we have very active user, I believe it's Carly. She said it's so soothing to listen to this. I think she might be eligible for one of those beautiful giveaways. What do you say? She's given us like 15 comments.
That sounds amazing. Well,
what do you feel she needs to get, the book or the meditations?
I'm getting meditations, actually.
I think so. So Carly, Shannon, girl, if you want to send me a private message in the Lovetarian Way group, and we will get it to you, right, Merlin?
I need their email address. So I transfer the MP3 files via WeChat.
Yes, he says yes. So let me.
I love giving things away. It's so beautiful.
So Merlin, tell me, you need her email, and Carly, you're hearing this, right? Email and
just the email address is what I need, because then what I do is I transfer the files, the MP3 files via.
Okay, so here is what we're gonna do. Carly, you are in the group, and Merlin Pickston is in the group as well. So why don't you send a message to Merlin, Carly, and then he's gonna give it to you. For some reason, if something gets crossed out, send it to me as well. We'll make sure that Carly is gonna get that. So that's meditations. So people stay in because there's still a book. All right. So that was beautiful. That was so beautiful and powerful. Clearly, it's very soothing to the listeners. I'm just wondering if you could maybe, like, a lot of people are still living in a fear response, and you define fear beautifully. What do you say about fear?
So, yeah, I define fear as false evidence appearing real.
100% in agreement. Explain.
Yeah. So fear is it comes through very. Don't get me wrong. Fear is there for a reason. So fear is an emotion that is a natural emotion that we would experience when we are faced with a life or death threatening situation, when we are faced with something that we are in real harm for. Unfortunately, what we tend to do is we tend to feel fear when we're not in those situations. And that's why I call it false evidence appearing real, because what's being presented to us are a number of things. So let's talk about, first of all, future. So people worry, and so worry is always the future. So it's always about what is it that might happen. And we need to understand that actually the future never actually ever is real, because we live from one present moment to the next, to the next, to the next. And when you begin to go down your journey, you actually begin to understand that we create our future. So we create our reality with the way that we think, the way that we feel, and so those intentions that we set create our reality. So when you're in a situation where you are worrying, and so that worry then creates fear. Fear.
I'm a bad warrior. Sorry. Can you self-correct, little one? Could you tell her? Could you give her advice, Merlin?
So yeah, absolutely. So you have to understand why you're worrying and what you're worrying about. And I think the first thing to think about is the thing that you're worrying about. Can you actually control it? Because what we tend to find is that because we allow our ego to control what's going on in our lives, and we don't sit back and allow our true self to guide us and direct us, and to trust that everything is sort of gonna work out well for us, and even if something negative happens, that it's an experience that we have an opportunity to learn from. That when we're stuck in a situation where we are, we feel like we have to control things, we have to control everything that's going on in our lives to make sure that everything happens the way that we want it to happen. And so often people who worry a lot, they're worrying about things they can't actually do anything about, that they can't control. So that one piece of advice would be, identify what it is that you're worrying about, and can you actually control it? And the answer is probably no, you probably can't control it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that is there an element of wounding or trauma that has happened to you in the past that is connected to the thing that you're worrying about? Have you, if you're worrying about a child, for example, that might get hurt, or something like that, has that happened in the past? Has it happened to you, and therefore you don't want it to happen to your child? It's about identifying where the source of the worry comes from. And once you can identify that, you then start to think, right, okay, how can I heal that particular trauma, or that particular issue that's happened? And there are lots of tools actually available. There's lots of tools that I talk about in my book around how you can go through that healing process to be able to do that. So, for example, forgiveness is an amazing one. So if it's something that's happened that you feel guilty about, or that you need to forgive someone else or yourself, forgiveness is a very powerful way of healing. And so it's about understanding, what it is that you need to do, and be guided, allow yourself to be guided to actually healing that particular element. The other thing is around the whole mindfulness thing. So if you're worrying about something, it means you're not being present, and you're not actually being present in the moment, because you're thinking about what might happen rather than what's happening now. And if you focus on what's happening now, you have the ability to create a more positive outcome for yourself or for the people around you. And I'm talking about the things that you're in control of, rather than things that you don't have any control of. So those are the three elements. Think about the fact that, are you in control of that thing? Think about what's causing the worry. So, and identify the trauma, and try and go through the process of healing it. And then the other element is be more present, so that you can actually create the next present moment to be something that's positive and really happy for you and the people around you.
Ah, beautiful. I mean, that was really, really helpful. And it actually brings me to the space that we are working a lot with I call them goddesses, okay? All the women I'm working with, I'm mainly working with women as goddesses. Everybody is a goddess, everybody is a god, everybody is divine for me, right? That's how I see you, and that's what it is. I don't accept anything less. So they are Well, a lot of them are still worrying, yes. And we are working with the concept of, which is in alignment with what you're talking about, 100% responsibility for the energies that you exude and the energies you take in. And it starts for us with a conscious awareness, so call it presence, of the energies that you have been actually allowing yourself to live, take in, consume thoughts, feelings. Are you watching news? Are you listening to people that maybe are wounded? All those things. You can let it in, or you can say no. How do you look at discernment versus judgment? How do you advise people to just be not feeling bad about saying to someone, excuse me, no, thank you, I'm not interested.
I think
For those concepts.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head at the very beginning of what you were just saying there around taking responsibility. I think
No one of the Lovetarian way. Thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting.
that's okay. Taking responsibility is immensely important because I think there are too many people that actually blame other people for the situations in their life, or blame the situation, blame the government, blame whatever that's going on at the time. And so it's really important to sit in and go, no, actually I am responsible for my life, for myself, for my happiness. And so once you really take a hold of that responsibility, it pushes you in a different direction. And and sometimes it's easy to slip away, particularly when something happens, and the balancing with taking responsibility is not going into self-judgment. Because when you take responsibility for things, and then if something bad does happen or something negative happens to you in your life, that causes you to feel, strong emotions, or, to have a real challenging moment or day or time, then it's easy to go, oh, well, if I'm responsible for this, have I created this negative thing to happen to me? And so it's easy to then go into that whole, I must be, I mustn't be doing it in the right way, or, I did this, etc. So it's important, whilst taking responsibility, not to go into self-judgment if it gets a bit bumpy on the life's road. And so what I do personally, and what I recommend for people to do, is to use what I recommend in terms of the pillars of personal change, is to go back and identify, okay, if something negative happened, was that outside of me? Was that because of someone else's behavior? Did I accept that someone treated me in a particular way, for example, whereas I should have put a stop to that? So it's around really that self-evaluation of, so was this something that I did, but doing it in a non-judgmental way? This is just, it's like one of the tools that I write about in the book is around zooming out of a situation. So you zoom out of a situation and you look at it in really objectively, without the emotions that are involved. And I write about it being akin to watching a play in a theatre, where you can actually see a situation play out. And so when you zoom out of a situation, you can actually see it for what it actually is, without getting caught up in the emotions that often being involved in a situation create. By doing that, you then are able to look at your own behavior, the way that you acted, and be able to go, okay, so in this situation, this is what I did. And so now I know that next time I find myself in that situation, or in a similar situation, this is how I'm going to behave differently, so that I don't create that situation to happen. And that's really the way for self-improvement and to develop yourself. That's the only way that you can do. You take responsibility, you don't go into self-judgment, and you continually self-evaluate. Now, that evaluation process could happen by, doing a zooming out process. It can be done by journaling, by just journaling about an experience, and really see what comes forward and comes out. using the visualization. So you visualize that, you know, a situation that happened to you, are actually able to look at it and go, right, okay, yeah, that's what happened here. And so, you know, this was, and often you may find that it's not you at all. It's someone else's wounding, it's someone else's behavior that's bad. And so the only build then from you for that situation is, do I need to make it clear to that person in future that that behavior is not acceptable to me anymore?
Yes, absolutely. And foremost, right, the whole thing, is it bad, is it good, or is it just is?
It's just an experience, isn't it?
Yes. Well, that's what we believe, at least.
Yeah, it's an experience, because, you know, we're all here to, we're here to learn, aren't we? We're here to learn, we're here to develop, we're here to experience. And so when you're in a situation where you view things as an experience, the way, if you're viewing it from a perspective of, okay, what can I learn from this situation? You know, so if something doesn't feel good, that you're in, okay, what can I learn from this experience? How can I shift that to seeing it in a positive way, where I can go, okay, so now I know that I need to, you know, set a boundary in this situation, or now I know that I need to walk away from that situation and not find myself in that situation again. All of it is just a learning experience that helps you to develop your self-mastery. The more that you experience, the more that you then evaluate and you change the way that you react or the way that you behave in a particular situation, you then develop your own mastery, the better you get at it. And then when those situations come along, actually what happens to you is you don't see it as a negative situation, because you don't actually react in a bad way. You go, oh, yeah, that's fine, that's not a problem, that's easy, no, that's great. And actually, you know, that's what I found in dealing with challenging behavior, which is what I do on a fairly regular basis in my caring situation, is that I find that, you know, when those challenging situations come up, I don't actually react at all now in any sort of bad way. I just go, okay, this is how it is, and this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm dealing with it, and it's absolutely fine. So yeah,
we actually have quite a few mothers, and they have a lot of children. And what would your advice be in dealing? So it's 100% responsibility, yes, my energies and influencing my energies, but then there's a child. How would I be at peace with dealing with the child who's throwing tantrums, right?
Yeah, I think there's actually several facets to this. Being a parent is you know, probably the biggest responsibility that we take on in our lives.
Consciously said no to that responsibility.
Me too, actually. But not that I don't understand, you know, I don't understand it, because I think it's important to recognize that there are several elements here. So there's your behavior as a parent. So it's how you're dealing with your own stuff, and understanding how you're dealing with your own stuff, and how that impacts on the raising of your child, and impacts on your child. I think that's the first element that you need to consider in terms of how you're dealing with the child. So what are they learning from your behavior? I think the other element, and in the last section of my book, I talk about children and parenting. And it's also about understanding that we really need to listen to our children, because our children, they're here to teach us, particularly the children who are being born now and have been born over the last sort of 10, 12 years. So they're here to teach us. Because these children have been born with, a lot of them have been born with the memories of their past and parallel lives. A lot of them are come from the cosmos. They're here to support the awakening of humanity. They are here to teach us. And so if you're experiencing a child who is acting, you know, with bad behavior, you have to question where that behavior is coming from. are they, and I think one of the biggest challenges is that a lot of these children do not want to be living in the society that we are in today. They don't want to be in a situation where they are being indoctrinated into a particular ego-led way of living. They don't want to be forced into a situation where they have to be put in competition with other children. They don't want to be in a situation where they are forced to believe in a religion that doesn't resonate with them, that they're forced into a situation where they're being educated in things that don't make sense to them, because actually what they know in their hearts is something completely different. And, I firmly believe that the way that we need to be with children is to really listen to them and listen to what that is that they're really trying to tell us. Take ourselves out of that societal situation that were personally sort of indoctrinated into, and go, okay, let's now think about, I've got a new awareness in myself as a parent, in terms of, understanding that the importance of self-love, of self-care, the importance of being mindful, the importance of getting a mind, body and spirit balance.
Yeah.
How can I teach my child that?
Yeah.
So the law says I've got to send my child to school and I have to educate them currently in the way that it is. So how can I counteract that by teaching them how to be mindful, how to take care of themselves, how to feel good about themselves in anything that they do, and not judge them. And I'm going to give a bit of an example here. So there's a really, really great friend of mine, and she's like my spiritual mum, and she her grandchildren, she has two beautiful grandchildren. They are, I think, 7 or 8 and 4, and the little boy particularly, their parents are so fantastic with them, because they just let them be who they are. So this little boy likes to dress up in dresses. He wears clothes back to front. He says really crazy, funny things, and they don't judge him. They don't say you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that. They just let him be who he is. And I just find it the most beautiful thing, because they're just allowing him to grow up and be, and not feel bad about who the person he truly is, because they're not pushing those societal judgments onto the child. And I feel like has to be the way forward with the way that we are raising children now. We listen to them, we allow them to be. If they talk about seeing a imaginary friend or what have you, that we listen to them, we ask them questions, we really allow, support the process of allowing, so they're connected to other dimensions. So listen to them, encourage them, say that it's fine for them to be able to do that. And when they're telling you, if they're behaving in a bad way, they're trying to demonstrate to you something that they're not happy about. And so what is underneath that behavior that they're trying to communicate to you?
Absolutely. I'm receiving this very strong message that children are really way showers for us into this 5D heaven on earth reality. And it might be very challenging for the ego. It might be challenging for this desire of separation that we still suffer in 3D. However, I noticed that a lot of people are afraid that they would lose their individuality while they embrace unity consciousness and heart-based living. Well, that's the paradox of it, isn't it? You don't actually.
Yeah, it's a total paradox, because the reason why a lot of people are so unhappy is because they're disconnected.
Yes.
We're disconnected from the source within it. A lot of people are disconnected from the source within them. They're disconnected from each other. And the more, why is it? You talked about earlier about how light workers are finding each other. I mean, you know, that's because that's how it's meant to be. You know, we are actually connecting more with each other, and the more we connect with each other, the more we support each other, the more we promote one another, the more we come together in unity. Actually, what happens is that we're able to shine as individuals as a result.
Absolutely. And I've been I've been asked, you know, I have been in traditional business for very many years. I've interviewed presidents, prime ministers, movers and shakers. I mean, really powerful people. And when I think about my life over the last 12 years, when I literally rebirthed like that phoenix on your book, when we, you know, shall I use this, lost our traditional businesses, or it was actually the answer to the need of our souls. We had always known, my husband and I, that being stuck, if you will, in that traditional model of doing business, having hundreds of employees, and it was, you know, on the surface, it was a fairy tale, right? You have your married couple, you have your wealth, you've got all those gadgets, everything. But your soul is calling. Your soul has been calling, and we have been awakening more and more and more and more. And this is my 12th year when I consciously chose to say, okay, you know, it doesn't matter what the society, what religion, what culture tells. That's one story. That's one fairy tale, but it's not my fairy tale. I've always known. I don't know, Merlin, from your story in the book, it's clear that you had known. I mean, always, since you were a kid, right? You know, when you know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not, so I want to encourage everybody here as we are ending slowly that it's not to be afraid. Yes, you are a weirdo, and thanks God for that you are.
Yes, absolutely.
You are supposed to be a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to understand that the way that society is. I mean, let's just touch on that. Do you know what came to me when you were talking about all of that? You only have to look at so-called celebrity, right? And how many of those celebrities who have got all the money and they've got the fame and they've got the houses and they've got all this, how many of them have ruined their lives through drugs and addiction and all of those things because actually they're not happy?
Exactly.
And so, you know, happiness comes from within, and that whole materialistic things that you can have around you. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to be poor, right? Because we know that we deserve to have everything that we possibly need and desire in our lives. And that's not about being poor, that's about being rich. But you are rich through your self-love, through your ability to be able to create and manifest abundance in your life in every way.
Amen. 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 And we discussed this before we entered this live podcast, that so many, I have to say it, I mean, everything is a reflection of everything. I mean, that's what I really believe, right? And people have been, spiritual leaders have been reflecting this consciousness that, oh, money is not important, you know, I don't need it to be happy, I don't need it to thrive. Well, what do you say to that, Merlin?
So what I say to that is that it isn't money itself, isn't it? I think we get hung up on the actual notes, don't we? It's around having the financial abundance in your life to be able to live your life purpose. So
hold on, because number 8 just showed while you said that. You know, number 8 stands for abundance. Oh, number 9. But it was just a moment when I caught it. Number 8. Whoa, thank you. Sorry, Merlin, I'm excited.
No, that's okay. So it's around understanding that the focus is on the life purpose. The focus is on what it is that you do. To be able to do your life purpose, to be able to really live it, you need financial abundance to be able to really, really do it. So yeah, so you're in a situation where the difference is, I think the message that those traditional people who are saying that they don't need money and what have you, is if you are doing it just to make money. So if I'm seeing a client so I can make money, that intention is not the right one. I think it's important to go, the intention that I have is that I want to help people, and I want to support people, and I want to awaken people. I want to help people heal. I want to help people to create abundance in their life. As a byproduct of that, then I'm going to receive financial abundance, because the more financial abundance I have, the more I can give, and then the more I give, the more it comes back to me, and it's a cycle. And so,
exactly. And on that note, I mean, this is such a beautiful alignment, because you said it. 108 rolled in, 8 viewers were at that moment in time. My beautiful friend Avatara, top trans channel in Britain, Jill, popped in. She put her name in. She's definitely gonna get your book. That name is there. Karma, somebody says, I have here Metatron's cube and sacred geometry. I'm working with it more and more and more. I'm remembering from my previous lifetimes. But why Metatron? You know, Archangel Metatron said, through a trans channel reading that we received, my husband and I, we received it from Jill Harrison. Actually,
podcast with Jill, they've been.
Yeah, you know what he said? He said that money is the means to experience life. So the question is, what do you want to experience? What do you have to bring to the world? I mean, like, look at this, Merlin. You have your beautiful school, Phoenix School of Ascension, right?
Yeah.
I'm building the movement. Kaya Rise building the movement. Do you really believe that we can do it without the energy of money?
No.
Yeah, and maybe not. I mean,
I think money has has this sort of connotation that you are finding that. It's interesting, because people often think that they don't, that there are limiting beliefs here, or belief systems around money. So in my book, I talk about this challenging of beliefs. So, and a lot of people do have this belief that, they either don't deserve to have money, or that money will create sin or evil because it's connected to some religious connotation. And I think it's important that it's around the intention that you've got to talk about, the intention of what you want. So if your intention is pure, your intention is around just wanting to live your life purpose, and to whatever that purpose is, that's what you want to do. You need the vehicle of abundance to be able to do that, because you need to eat, and you need to, you pay for the bills. That's how society and life is currently now. However, in future that may change, it may shift, and as we go into fifth dimensional living, we may well not need money, and that a different way of working and being will step forward. And I actually do believe that that's going to be the case. However, we're not there yet, and so we're still living in a situation where we require money to be able to live our lives. And so it is around the intention and the attitude towards money, but often it is a belief, a limiting belief that people have that stop them from being abundant.
I want to touch on something that I believe Carly is saying. Hold on here, not this one. Karma. I'm not going to comment. I'll let you comment on that. Money and karma, because I've got stuff to say, but you my guest. Please, money and karma. Okay, Merlin, go.
It's really interesting when you talk about karma. I mean, a lot of people are coming to the end of the karmic cycle. So there's an awful lot of situations where, and a lot of people who are going through an awakening and going through the awakening situation, those are the people who are actually coming to the end of their karma. And so I personally don't feel that karma has any influence on financial abundance. For me, it's let's face it. Most of us have probably lived a life. For those old souls who are going through this process, they've lived a life of poverty at one point or another, where we've lived with nothing. That's part of an experience that our soul had. We don't need to do that again. And so I don't believe that karma is creating a situation where people are now not in an abundant situation. For me, it's around this. You have to. It's stepping away from the system that we've been forced to live in, where we're forced to go out to work, to live on the poverty line, where our socio-economic background, our education, etc., affect the amount of money that we can earn. You have the absolute power to step out of that and to step into your life purpose and to create abundance for yourself in your life. And if there are limiting beliefs that you have around your ability to create that abundance in your life, you need to work on whatever those limits are, whatever those underlying beliefs are, and heal any of those issues that you have, and really believe that you could create your life, you create your reality. And so if you believe that you are entitled to abundance and to prosper, then you will create that in your life.
That is like so amen. Like I scream it from the rooftops, you know, because as you know, I just told you before we started, I'm working with a white buffalo woman now, and she is all about prosperity and abundance of the heart, and people who are really embracing heart-based businesses, who are really saying, yes, I dare to play the music of my heart. There's something birthing through me and I shall follow that calling. My God, you've got nothing to worry about.
When you align to your life purpose and you're connected to your true self, right? What happens is miracles happen in your life. Your true self, the guides that you have, the angels that you have in your life, all of those things, what happens is that they support you. And the alignment just happens, and they create the synchronicities in your life. They create the opportunities that allow you to actually come forward into your purpose. And the abundance just comes. It's a case of, you know, you have to listen. You have to really, truly listen to your heart's desire, to what your heart, your true self is absolutely telling you. You know, and if you have that dream that you've always wanted to do, that thing that you really felt like, you know, this is me, this is what I should be doing with my life, then you need to start listening and going, okay, so how can I make that happen? How can I create that in my life? You know, and it's so easy to make excuses around, well, I can't do it because of this, or I can't do it because of that, or I can't do it because of the other. And actually, you know, you can. Yes. You know, I mean, I'm living proof of that. I mean, you know, I'm in an extremely challenging situation where, you know, it's a very negative a lot of the time, and yet I have come through, and I've continued to develop my self-mastery, and, you know, I birthed this book. In the last year, I birthed it and I made it happen. And the only way that I made that happen is through aligning to myself, my life purpose, by actually trusting my true self, trusting my guides, trusting the direction that I was going in. That's how you create the alignment that you need to birth what you want in your life.
I am in 100% agreement with you. You know, to give further encouragement to those who really have the music in their hearts and the soul is on fire, yet they are afraid because they still perpetuate the limiting belief systems that have been instilled into them, whether it was childhood or they are ending their karmic cycles, whatever, people. Very important is that you say with conscious awareness, I choose to let go. I'm done with suffering. I'm done with poverty. And we have beautiful, we want to encourage people to really step into that consciousness of the Sophia Code, whether it is through your book or reaching for the Sophia Code itself, or the academy that I have, Lovetarian Way, or your Ascension School, or any of the beautiful light workers we have been promoting here. All of this is prosperity consciousness. It is abundance consciousness. It is cutting cords to the limiting beliefs through time and space. I mean, Merlin, we are at the dawning of the golden age of miracles. It's all possible, isn't it?
It is absolutely possible. I mean, it's such an exciting time to be alive and to be doing what we're doing. And anyone who's listening to this, you know, you're here with us too. You know, whatever it is that I'm talking about or teaching, or you are, Natalia, you know, they're equally capable of doing these things. They are equally capable of actually birthing their own realities. They're equally capable. That we're all sovereign and divine. We're all there, you know, and we all have access to these tools that are available to us. So yeah, I mean, it's just, we just need to, but I think the important thing is as well is that, and this message just came in really strongly for me just now, was that the purpose of why we're doing these podcasts, why you're doing them every week, and why I'm here talking to you, is because you don't have to do it alone.
No, we are all in this together, light workers, Lovetarians.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to share something that it's, well, I need to share this because Jesus, I believe, told us, I also believe it was through Jill's books, that use your life as a platform, and your suffering needs to be shared so that other people don't need to suffer. Let your life's lessons ease pain for people, right? So if I had gone through things, it is not about being narcissistic, as some people might say. Actually, it's the opposite. I am not doing this because I want to, you know, tell you I am oh so special. You know what? You are oh so special too. And my being oh so special gives you permission to be oh so special too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's a really, really great point, because, you know, for my Kaya R says, actually, this comes to mind very strongly, is that she's nobody's guru. She says, I'm not here.
Oh my God, no guru. Yeah,
I'm not here to be a guru, and that resonated with me so much, because it's like, that's not what any of us are here to do. We're not here to be. We're a guru for ourselves. Every person is a guru to themselves. You know, so, you know, whatever messages that we hear, you know, we're just here to guide people into their own sovereignty, into their own power, so that they can do it too. I mean, this is what it's about, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. And in fact, we are saying it like so loudly at the beginning of every workshop, in the group, all the time. I am merely a guide through the field of infinite possibilities, in this beautiful field of divine matter, of the source. There is so many possibilities. There's so many things you can choose. We guide them to focus on that, on stepping on that bridge of love and light, because that is what will set you free out of this matrix of fear, the programming, the culture, the religion, whatever. You know, you are your own guru. I mean, my God,
absolutely. It's important that people recognize that, you know, the tools like my book or other people's books, or, you know, any of those things, all of these things are actually just the reason why I called the book A Journey to Your True Self. It's because people, that's what they need to do. Is the minute that they connect with their true self, and that they connect with that, they have the power to do it for themselves. You know, they have the absolute ability. You know, I'm no better than anyone else. You know, and the only reason why I share, you know, part of my journey and what I've experienced in the book, is to show people that I'm teaching from a place of having been there. And so, all I'm doing is saying that this is what worked for me. Some of it may not work for you, and some elements of it may just completely resonate and go, that's perfect, and that will work for me. And it's about people finding what works for them, finding their own path, so they can go, okay, so if I need to read that book, listen to that podcast, and do this particular course, that combination is what works for me. And that combination will be different for somebody else. And so it's a little bit about going, okay. And that's why all the light workers are coming together, Natalia. I firmly believe it, that the more that we pull together, the more that we recommend one another, the more people that we touch, and the more people that we reach, we're going to find that each of those people are going to be able to connect to the right combination that they need to go on their own individual path.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, Rose, darling. The book is already given away, and the meditations are given away.
Did you give the book away? Have you?
Yes, I did. Jill got it.
Oh, right, okay.
But that's, you know what, Merlin, because obviously this is an ongoing thing. So now you have published the book. The book is out, and people can get it. Where can they get it, actually?
It's probably great that I explain where they can get it.
Oh, that would be nice. Huh?
So people can go to my website, and they can go on the book page and click and order that way. It's also available on Amazon worldwide. So whatever your local Amazon is, you can get it on.
Well, I'm getting mine today, that's for sure.
There is also, it's available on barnesandnoble.com in North America. It's available in the UK on waterstones.com as well. So pretty much most of the popular platforms.
And I believe totally in the law of magnetism. So if it's yours, it will find you, and you need to just take inspired action and just click that button. And I'm going to do it right away after this podcast.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, this was a really awesome conversation, Merlin. We're coming on to 1.5 hours. Time flows, right? When you have it.
Right. Well, before we go, let me just briefly say the meditations. Obviously, we've given one set away. Those meditations, they are available on my website. So if
hold on, look at this. We're having abundance mentality. Rose is gonna get Jill's book. Oh,
isn't that beautiful?
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Jill. And that's why you're so amazing and abundant. Oh, nice.
Well, Natalia, I tell you what we'll do. Yeah. Let's have nobody miss out, and we'll give away 2 books.
Wow, both Jill and that's people. Yeah. That is the example of what, Merlin?
That's it. Well, this just prosperity consciousness, isn't it? Absolutely.
So both ladies are getting the book.
Let's give away 2 books. So that's absolutely fine. We'll give away 2 ebooks. And the meditations, if I just say, there are samples on my meditation page, so you can click on like a 25-second sample of each of the meditations. If people feel drawn to get those, then they can buy them from my website, and they're available there.
Oh, fantastic. And you know what? You already sold several books, I know, because, I bought like 35 copies of Sophia Code. All my friends have it. I keep
God, me too. Me too. I tell you, the amount of books that I've bought and sent to people is absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know what? Maybe why don't you guide us to like a short meditation to end this? That would be nice, because you are doing meditations all the time. Do you have something coming to you that we could just get in the zone, get into space of peace and allowing and prosperity?
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll keep your website on, and after we will finish, Merlin, I will end the broadcast. If you have some time, we can have a quick chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
End the broadcast. So let's do like a few minutes, and then we're just gonna say that's it. So people.
Yeah, so let's just go deep in and take 3 deep breaths. So let's go. And one more. Okay, so what I'm actually seeing is I'm seeing that this beautiful pink. It's like a pale pink light that's surrounding this beautiful space that we're in at the moment, and it's vibrating into this prosperity consciousness that we're really wanting to embrace. Um, and around this space, we're joined by just this army of angels, and it's amazing. The message that's really coming through very strongly at this point is that um, the angels and the ascended masters and all of our supporters that are in the dimensions, they are just so behind us and really want us to prosper and to have everything that we want and desire in our lives. And they're with us constantly, and so anyone who really wants to believe and wants to embrace that prosperity consciousness, call in these, I'm going to call them prosperity angels, because this is what it feels like to me. And the color pink is really strong in with these angels. I'm actually seeing pink on the end of their wings, and they're so literally wing to wing, so around the ceremonial space that we're in at the moment. And so call in these prosperity angels into your life and really help that they can help you to cut any of the cords with any of those limiting beliefs that we were talking about in the podcast, that you may be experiencing, anything that is holding you back from experiencing beautiful abundance in your life. They are the message that's coming through is very strongly that you all of the people who are listening to this live or on a replay, they can call in that abundance energy. And it is an energy that we can surround ourselves with. So pouring it into our auric field and connecting it to our four bodies, so our spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental bodies. And so what I'm witnessing now is I'm seeing this beautiful pink abundance energy that is coming into our aura and into our being now. And everyone who is on the call and listening to the replay is receiving this abundance energy. It's coming in really strongly, and you may be feeling that and actually in the core of your solar plexus, because it's very much connected to the connection to personal power and to your ability to create. And it's going down into the sacral chakra as well, because that's around our creativity. The feeling is tingling out, it's going up, and I'm actually feeling a kundalini activation as well here from the root. It's coming very strongly. This beautiful pink energy is then going up the spinal column, connecting right up to the crown. You may feel I'm getting a tingling feeling now up my arms, and that's going right up through the neck and to the top of the crown. And this is an anchoring of that abundance energy, that's prosperity energy from these beautiful prosperity angels that are transmitting this to us now.
Beautiful.
It's really strong. And so this anchoring is going to happen. So I'm just going to see now. Actually, interesting now that this anchor is coming down now from the crown chakra into the heart space now and into the heart chakra. And it's going to anchor into the system in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pum.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just sit with that just for a few seconds and let that settle. And just everyone remember that, you know, when you are doing anything which is going to be bringing abundance, or anything that you're working on, call in the prosperity angels with their beautiful pink wings, because they really will support you with your endeavors.
Beautiful. I need to seal it with the mantra of the vehicle of ascension that I have downloaded, and I'm teaching the girls. It's very similar to Kaya's, actually. It says, it's 6 words or 6 steps. I accept.
Yeah.
I receive. I am so grateful. I embrace. I enjoy. I embody. Amen.
Amen. That's beautiful.
And I have blinkering lights, like so powerful in my eyes now. It's like literally those wings are just like,
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It's
Sparkling.
beautiful.
I'm sparkling. I mean, I'm buzzing. It's so beautiful. Thank you. Wonderful. Whew. I hope you enjoyed that. Beautiful. That was a beautiful podcast. Fantastic.
Thank
Great.
you, Red Rose. That's beautiful. Thank you. Blessings to you.
Let's take a moment to get grounded, maybe touch the earth, because I'm all like, woo! Amazing.
Yeah.
So we will have Merlin back. Your book is going to beautifully spread all over the world. And so it is, so it is, so it is. By the power of 3 perfect divine Trinity. Amen. It is done. I see it touching millions of souls. So beautiful. And we'll have you back in like 2 months. We booked till end of September. So then we'll book you in for end of September, okay?
I'd love that.
I want to see, I want to hear about your success. And I want you to share the wonderful news with us. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
So namaste, beauties. We will get in touch. Grace, remember to send message to Merlin. Jill and Rose also, how would they receive the books? Also by email, right?
Yeah, email. Yeah, what will happen with, if I just briefly explain about those. So the ebooks, you get a book stub number. I'll give you a link to a website, and there'll also be
email, please, in the chat. Type it. So girls, all 3 winners, could you write? Yeah, send him an email. You can also contact in the group, but email is email.
Yeah, on my website. I mean, if they want to just use the contact button on my website.
Well, there you go. So there, yeah.
Yeah, because they click on that and it'll just come. They put their information in there and it'll come straight to me. Just tell if you just tell if they just explain who they are, and they're a winner of an ebook, or they're the winner from this podcast.
Rose, Jill, Grace. I maybe it was not. I will check. But Grace is coming to me. You know why, Grace? Because one of the girls in the workshop that she has 22 different personalities, and one of them is Grace, and that's divine Grace, amazing Grace. So it's like Grace is with us. I think maybe some Grace spirit guys is with us here, because I hear Grace, Grace, Grace. So we give it Grace. So that was really powerful. Okay, perfect. Merlin, do you still have a moment so we can have a chat?
Absolutely.
So I'm wrapping this up. Thank you so much, beautiful people. And I will see you next week with next guest. I believe it's Tanya, who is specializing in sound healing and yoga. She's a beautiful yogini. And so we will do some the bones. It's going to be so nice.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah, it will be. So tune in, and we will be back with Merlin in about 2 months. So lots of possibilities, right? All right. I will see you. I will send you a link in the chat, Merlin, in the messenger chat. Okay. Thank you all. Hasta luego.